Good evening all. I Kapil Tajne on behalf of Department of Computer Engineering PCCE welcomes you for the webinar on creating your own spell checker using TRY. I'm very happy to introduce our speaker, Ms. Shivani Zunavne. She has completed her BE from PCCE only. She is a 2018 pass out and currently she is working in Persistent as software developer. One thing I would like to mention about the Shivani, as most of the students are attending the webinar, from her first year only, she was very curious about the programming languages, and she was very interesting to develop the projects for every semester. For each and every subject, she has developed too many mini projects, and after joining industry, she is very much interested to guide her juniors. So that's why we have planned her webinar. So hope most of the students will get benefited from this. So I'm happy to share more than 200 students has registered from PCCU itself, and 60 plus students has registered outside from outside PCCU, and 5 to 10 faculties has also registered for the webinar. So most participants has joined. So we can start. Meanwhile, other participants can also join. So I welcome you all. Over to you, Shivani. Please continue.
Yeah, thanks, Kapil sir. So I'll get started with my session. I know the session was quite ambiguous. The session topic was quite ambiguous, and like when I said I'll be coding my own spell checker using try. So what exactly will I be doing there? Before coding the spell checker, what I'll be doing is I'll be explaining what a try is, and a try is nothing but an advanced tree. So we'll look into that and all of that in today's section, today's session. But before that, let me just give you a quick introduction about myself. I know Kapil sir has already told you that I'm a 2018 pass out student, and what my interests were when I was actually studying in PCCOE. Currently, I'm working as a senior software engineer at Persistent Systems, and my interests are mostly competitive programming. So I used to do that a lot when I was in college. I don't get that much of a time to do it when I'm working now. So other than that, I'm also interested in data science. So in data science, what I'm doing is I'm currently exploring around all various domains under it. But I do have an inclination towards computer vision. So probably I'll complete my master's in that one day, hope so. And at work, so I've been working since 2 years now in Persistent Systems. So I have been responsible for Dockerization of all the open source softwares, and basically we ported to IBM Spark architecture. And I have also worked on various DevOps tools such as OpenShift, Kubernetes. So yeah, okay. So with that, I think we should get started with our session. Yeah, so before we move to what a try is, let us understand why do we exactly need trees, right? So we do have arrays, we do have linked lists, we do have various other data structures, but why exactly do we need trees as such? So as you can see, there is a tree that I have drawn. Just by looking at it, you can visualize that it is nothing but a folder structure in your Linux system, of your Linux file system. So there is a root folder, there is an etc folder, there is a users folder, and there are Kapil and Shivani, two users as of now that are being created, right? So the first and the first and the major advantage of tree is that it is a dynamic data structure. And what I mean by a dynamic data structure is that you can automatically add a new entry or a new node to the tree as and when required. And adding the new node will not hamper the existing structure of the tree. So as you see, I added a new user out, but the existing structure of the tree did not get hampered. And this does not happen with arrays. So in an array, if you want to append a new element, you need to create a copy of the existing array. So that says that array is not a dynamic data structure, but tree is a dynamic data structure. but linked list is also a dynamic data structure, as you all know. So the difference between tree and a linked list is what I can say is that a tree usually conveys some information to you. So the structure of the tree will always convey some information. Just by looking at the tree, you can actually visualize the entire file system of your Linux system right here in front of you. So this path, we know that Shivani is a folder which is inside users folder, and users folder is nothing but inside the root directory. So that is where trees actually come into picture, and these are basically the advantages, and these are the things why we exactly these are the reasons why we exactly need trees, even after having few other data structures. So trees are really important when you're coding real life applications. I'll get into the applications part soon. So let me move to what is a trie. So you all must have coded a binary search tree as your data structures assignment in your lab assignment during your data structures lab. So even I did it. That was the simplest sort of a tree that you can code. A binary search tree is nothing but a tree which can have only two different nodes. And with maximum two nodes. So it can have 0, it can have 1, it can have two nodes, right? So a trie is nothing but a multi-way tree. And what I mean by a multi-way tree is that a trie can have as many children as it wants. There is no restriction on the number of children. I mean, yes, you as a programmer can always restrict the number of children that you want your node to have, but then you can like theoretically you can have as many children as you want, child nodes as you want, right? And the most and the major reason why you use trie, or why you need to create a trie, or why this trie data structure came into existence, is to store a collection of words or strings. And there is this YouTube video that you can watch on trie. Probably it's from HackerRank, I'm not sure. But later, if you want to, you can just watch it. I'll quickly move here. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I've just constructed a small tree. I've constructed a trie basically, and I'll be storing these all words into the trie. So a trie is nothing but a node which has a value terminating, which can be set to false or true, and it can have multiple children. And a child is nothing but a character basically. So every node will just store one single character and nothing more than that. And it will again point to other characters as its children. So how is a cat stored is there is a root node, right? The root node has a child node C. The C node has another child node called as A, and the A node has another child node called as T. And what you see, the green nodes are where the terminating field of the node is true, right? And the red nodes are the nodes where the terminating field is set to false. So if I want to search whether a word ball is present in the tree, so if I just type BAL, right? And so what I'll do is I'll go to the root node, I'll check in the hash map, or this is just just a sample implementation. You can implement the way you want to. We'll be implementing using an array soon, but just think of it that a root node. So what we'll do is we'll see if the children has a node B, right? So if it has B, we'll move to that node. If it has A, we'll move to that node. If it has L, we'll move to that node. So this word is present, right? But the terminating value is false. That means this is not a complete word. So this terminating word you can also mark this field as is complete. So whether the word is complete over there or not. So BAL is not a word in an English dictionary, right? So this should be marked as false. But if we as you can see over here as well, there is a red underline to that word. But if I type L, the underline goes away. So that is basically how a spell checker works. Uh, so the underline that you saw right now, so this is the implementation of spell checker that this application uses. So I'll show that in just a minute. What I'll do is I'll move to the applications part. I won't be getting into a lot of theory about trie. So trie is nothing but a tree data structure where you store words, and you store words in such a format that each node has only a character stored in it, as simple as that. So there is nothing complex over there. The application is interesting. As I just showed you, I'll be showing a spell checker application. So you have been using your messenger a lot, right? So you use WhatsApp, you use FB Messenger, you use your normal inbuilt phone messenger, and you always have that underline to the words that you see, whether or not the word is a correct word or there is a spelling mistake. So internally, something called as a trie is used, or you can use something called as a trie over there. So how, as you can see right now, what I've written is trie data structure is awesome. What I want to write is awesome, but by mistakenly I wrote AWESO and then I hit entered space. And as soon as I entered space, the word AWESO got underlined. And that means that word is incorrect, or that word is not present in the dictionary that this application uses. As simple as that. So I'll run it again. Yeah, so this word is not present, but if I remove that and write awesome, it says that awesome is present, and there is no underlines over there because all the words are correct in the dictionary. So this is exactly what we will be trying to code today, right? So we will exactly be coding a similar thing that you saw right now. We'll be creating our own trie data structure, and we will be using it to create our own dictionary, and then create an exact functionality that you saw in your mobile messenger app. And for that, I do have my VM VirtualBox ready. I've set up an Ubuntu machine over there. Yeah. So before we start, so let me just quickly grab a terminal, right? And I'll just check where I am. I'll go to desktop, and I'll create a new directory for us. I'll create it as trie. As you see, a directory trie has been created. I'll just go to it, cd to that directory, and there are no files over here. So what I'll do is I'll start Visual Studio. I'll first make the screen bigger. Then I'll start Visual Studio Code so that we'll be able to code the problem statement a little better over here. What I'll do is I'll create a file called as spellchecker.cpp. So I'll be coding it in C++. You can code it in any language that you want to, but coding it in CPP is always, or probably you would be coding most of your data structure in C++. That is the first language that you run as a programmer in your lab assignments. So, and I'm sure most of you must be well acquainted with it. So I'll work with that. Now, so I'm just writing a simple template sort of. Right. So what do we need to do here? So we know that we need this node structure, right? And this node structure, we need a terminating field and something to store the number of children. So we'll exactly be coding this entire data structure over here. So what I'll do is I'll create a structure for our node. So I'll call it as trie node. And it will have two parameters. It will have a bool parameter, a boolean value, whether it is terminating, or you can call it as is complete. And by default, I'll set it to false. As and when required, we can change the variable value to true. And instead of creating a hash map, what I'll do is our trie, I'll restrict our trie can store only small alphabets. So because I'm storing small alphabets, we know that there are only 26 possible ways. So there cannot be more than 26 small alphabets, right? So instead of creating a hash map, what I'll do is I'll create a simple array of node pointers, of tri-node pointers that would point to, and the size of the array will be 26. So that would point to letters A to Z, small a to small z. At start, all those pointers will point to null, right? And as and when required, we'll create new nodes for those pointers. So what I'll do is try node star children. I'll create a children parameter, which is of size 26, and I'll initialize all the parameters to null, all the children to null in the beginning. Okay. And now I will need a class for our try that we are going to code. But as you see, as and how we add more and more code to this, it will all get cluttered, and we'll have to scroll a lot to actually look at what we are typing and where is the function that we want to look at. So what I like to do personally is I like to make my code modular. I don't like my code to be in one single file. So I'll create a couple of files. I'll create a header file try.h. I'll create another file try.cpp, and I'll actually move the definition or declaration of the try and try node class in the header file. Okay. What I'll do is I'll also quickly write the includes over here. Okay. And yeah, so we'll be coding a try class. So what we need inside a try node is we need that root node, right? As I showed you over here, so we need a root node which won't exactly store any information in itself, but it is just a starting point of our try data structure. So it can actually point to 26 characters, and it can store whether those characters are present or not, right? So I'll create a variable, private variable, try node star root. So I'll just create a root variable which currently points to null. So we won't initialize it unless and until an object of this class has been created. In the public section, I will require a try node constructor to actually allocate space to the root node, as well as I'll require functions for inserting a word, right? An insert word would nothing but take a string as a parameter, a string word. It would take a word that it needs to insert. Then we would also require a search word. We need to search any word that we insert in our try data structure, right? Then we would also require to delete a word, right? And then we would also require to update a word. So what I'll do is update will require two words. So the word that you want to update and the word that you want to update it with. So I'll use two different parameters, old word and new word. So I'm just declaring all the functions. I'll be defining it in the .cpp file. This is just a blueprint of our class. So what I'll do is the search word will actually so the search word should actually return a bool whether or not the word is present. The delete word should also return a bool whether that word has actually gotten deleted or not, and the update word will also return a bool. Let's just for the sake of for the purpose of it, for us to knowing whether that that operation has been completed successfully or not. You can keep the return type whatever you want to. That's flexible. So what do we want? So we want to actually implement all of these functions in the try.cpp file, right? So and one thing that we need to do is we need to include the .h file, and the .h file in the current folder can be included using the double quotes instead of the angular brackets. First we'll implement the constructor using scope resolution operator, as you call it. And what we'll do is here we just need to allocate space for the root node, right? So I'll be creating a new try node, as simple as that, nothing complex. The terminating value is already set to false, and the children are already initialized to null inside the structure over here. So we don't need to do anything else as of now in the constructor. Before, no, okay, let's just continue, right? So insert word, right? Let me just try to do this. Yeah, so why I did this is I just want to quickly run my program and see if there are any compilation errors as of now. So I'll hash include the try.h file here as well. And what I'll do is I'll create a try object of try. I'll create a object of the try class that we actually implemented over here and defined it in the .h file. Perfect. I'll just quickly close this and go to my terminal. I'll be using GCC to compile as usual. Let me check what all files do I have. So I have a spell checker, I have a try.cpp and a try.h file. So spell checker, we will also need to compile the try.cpp file, and let's call the output file as spell checker again without the .cpp extension. We do have errors. Struct definition. Okay, so I think there is, we need to give semicolons. There is a try node pointer children. That should work. Oh, sorry. So the class is actually sorry. Yeah. So our class is try, so we have to name our constructor as try and not try node, right? So the constructor name would be try. Let me quickly clear it, and then there is a new root equal to new try. So root equal to new try node. I guess all the errors should be gone. Yeah. So our code is getting compiled, and to run the code, I'll just, so a binary has been created. So I'll just run that binary, and there'll be no output as of now because we haven't written anything in our main, but the template is ready. So we are good to be coding all these functions now. So insert node, right? So how do we insert a node, or how do we insert a word basically? So what I'll do is I'll take a pointer to the root node. So what I'll do, try node star root, sorry, current node equal to root. And then we'll go through each and every character of the word. So for character C in word, for each and every character, I need to check whether the current node already has a children of that character. If it has, just move ahead. If it does not have, create or allocate memory for that character, right? So if it does not have that, that means basically the children array at that particular position will be pointing to a null value. So we'll need to actually allocate memory at that particular point. So what I'll do is I'll check if current nodes children at suppose at position C, but C is nothing but a small alphabet. So its value will be somewhere from 97 to 26 characters ahead, 26 numbers ahead. So I'll act for, and our children know array will have indexes from 0 to 25. So I'll actually need to subtract the ASCII value of A to actually map the indexes over there. So what I need to do is, if it is equal to null, that means there is no sort of node present at that particular index. So what I'll do is current nodes children. I'll just quickly copy what I've written over here. I need to allocate memory for it. So it will be nothing but a new try node, as simple as that. The terminating value should be false, because suppose if we are inserting cat, so for C we'll create a new node, for A we'll create a new node again. Okay, so after creating a new node for C, you will actually need to point the current node to C, right? So current node will nothing but be current nodes this value, right? So we are now pointing to C. We'll again go, suppose we are inserting cat, right? So first the character will be C. So root does not have, so root's C index is currently pointing to null. So what we are doing is, if it is pointing to null, allocate new memory. So a new node will be created, and its terminating value or is complete value will still be false, and all it will also have a children node, which is nothing but an array of 26 characters which are still pointing to null. We are just allocating or creating a new node and then allocating it, and allocating the current nodes. The current node basically points to the new node that is getting created, and that is how this loop will enter C, A, and T. So when we exit this loop, when we come out of this for loop, our current node will be pointing to T, and we need to set T nodes. Okay, is complete. So we need to set T nodes is complete parameter to true. So what I'll do is, I'll set current nodes is complete parameter to true, and that is how we know that the word actually is terminating at T. It's not terminating at C, it's not terminating at A, but it is terminating at C. So that's a simple implementation over there. Search node will be actually be, we will have to do all of this similarly. So what I'll do is, for searching whether a node is present or not, I will point to the root node first, right? Then I'll go for every character in the word that we need to search. And if that character is null, right, that means the word is not present. If that character itself is not present, no other characters after it will be present in our tree, right? So as soon as we encounter that, we can return a false. That means the word is not present in our dictionary. But if there is a word, assign it to current, sorry, if there is a word, assign it to current node and continue it, right? And then once we reach the end of the node, what we need to return is the is complete value of that node. So there is a possibility that the user can search CA and not CAT. So if the user is searching CA, CA is not a terminating node. We have that word in our dictionary, but it is not a complete word, and hence we need to pass this is complete. We need to return the is complete parameter, right? So before coding the delete word and update word functions, let us quickly check whether we have implemented this insert and search word correctly in our spellchecker.cpp file. So what I'll do is, I'll include a vector, right? And so basically what we'll be doing is, we'll be creating a dictionary over here with our custom sample um, word set. So vector string, right? And let it be words, let it be called as words. So I'll quickly copy the words that I have over here. So I'll insert these words in our dictionary. So now that we have all the words, what I'll do is for word string word in words, for every word in words, what I'll do is I'll call insert word function from the try node object that we have created. So I'll insert all of these words one by one into a try node, and once that is done, I'll quickly try to search whether a word is present. So I'll search string word equals, basically I'll make it cat probably, so car. So car is present, and then to search it, o try or object of try dot search word, I'll search whether this word is present or not. Right. So what I'll do is I'll quickly use a ternary operator here to just print something out on the screen. So this search word will return true if the word is present and false if the word is not present. So if it returns true, we'll just quickly print out present, and if the word is not present, we'll quickly print out not present. Right. So what I'll do is I'll make the word as CA just for checking whether the search word is working correctly or not. So car should be present. Car is present in our if car is present, that means CA is also present. But the isComplete parameter of CA is false. Hence, the search word function should also return false, and that means not present will be printed out. So our application should now print out present for car and not present for CA. I hope that should work correctly. Let me quickly compile my code. Compile. Okay. Yeah, so it got printed, but I just slash n. Okay, so that it's more visible. Yeah, so the functions insert and search on our try data structure are working as we expect them to work. Now that we have them working, we'll quickly code the delete word and update word so that we can move on to the actual application that we intend on making using this try data structure, that is nothing but a spell checker. But let's just quickly work on delete word and update word. Okay, so for delete word, I'll again copy the same code that I've written in the search word function, right? For the search word, for the delete word, what we need to do is we need to return false if the word is not present, right? So for every character C in word, if the character is not present, that means the word itself is not present, right? So if the word is not present, then we are returning false. But if this entire for loops executes, that means the word is present. And if the word is present, what we need to do is we need to just return true and set the current node's terminating value as false, right? So what we are doing is the current node is not terminating at that value. You can also actually check whether that node has a number of child nodes, more than one child nodes. And if there are no child nodes, you can actually delete the node itself. You can completely delete the node, but then the coding will be complex over here. So what I'm doing is we don't have space issues over here. So our try has basically only 26 different nodes that it points to. So the space that it requires is probably something that my system will be able to handle. So I'm not worrying a lot about space complexity here. But if your try has more number of children, you can actually think of actually deleting the node from the memory itself. But for now, I'll just set the terminating character as false and return true in the delete word function. So once that is done, what I'll do is instead of what I'll do is I'll call the delete word on the car word. So I'll delete car from my dictionary, and I'll just quickly print out whether it's been deleted or not. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm first searching whether a car is present, and we are, as know that we are actually inserting car, so yes, it should print present. Then as car is also present, it should also delete the word successfully and print as deleted. And when we search the word car again, it should print not present. So I hope our delete word function works as we expected to. Oh, sorry. So I have changed terminating to is complete, right? So instead of terminating, this yeah. So let's not clear because we have our output from the previous run. Yeah. So the car word was present, then we deleted it, and now it is not present in a dictionary. So our delete word function is also working as we expect it to work. Update word. So let's move on to update word now. You might be thinking that this is the most complex of all to code, but trust me, it is the easiest. We'll be doing a small trick over here. So what we'll be doing is we will be first deleting the old word from our dictionary. So we'll just call delete node and we'll delete old word, and then we'll again call the already coded function insert word, and we'll insert the new word. So we are doing two operations here. We are deleting the old word and then inserting the new word here. So that is the only thing that we are doing in our update word function. And I know it would work, but let's just quickly try to make it work. Instead of delete word, what I'll do is I'll update it to basically update car to carom, maybe, right? And see out. Okay, so we are not returning anything. So we can delete all of this from here. I guess I missed. Yeah, so this, if we are not returning anything, the return type should be void. So yeah. So let me do one thing. We already know that the word car is present, so I'll make this as carom. So we'll first see that carom is not present in our dictionary, and then now we are updating car with carom. So now the word carom should be present in our dictionary. And the word car should not be present in our dictionary. So I'll quickly copy this and I'll make it as car. So not present, present, not present is what our output should be. It's not clear it yet. Delete node. Sorry, delete word. Uh, yeah, so the word carom was not present, but after we updated car to carom, our word carom is now present in the dictionary, and the car word is not present in our dictionary right now. So the try data structure has all the basic functionality that we want implemented as of now. I know the output messages that I have written as of now are not very appealing. You can actually work on making it a little better, but this is not I wanted to that was not my main purpose. The main purpose is to create a spell checker application, right? So you already saw the video, and the video that I showed you was this, right? The spell checker. So you remember, as soon as I enter space after AWESO, as soon as I enter space, there is an underline to that word. So that is the exact functionality that we need to implement in our code. So as soon as a space is inserted, we'll check whether the previous word is actually present in our dictionary. If it is present in our dictionary, we'll print it as is. But if it is not present in our dictionary, we'll underline it and then print it. Simple. So how do we do that? So what I'll do is I will probably create a while loop, right? I'll get a character inside the while loop. So while user is entering any character, continue this loop. So this is basically an infinite loop unless and until you don't press Control C. And then inside this loop, we will be checking if character equal to a /n. And this is nothing but when the user has pressed entered. So we can keep on running the program as we want, but for the purpose of this video, what I'm doing is, as soon as the user press enter, we are exiting our program. We don't want the user to enter multiple lines. We can. I'll show that as well once we are done with a single line, and I'll show you how multiple lines works as well. But for now, let's just break it. Press enters, right? Else, if the user is entering a space, right? I might need to, yeah. So if the user is entering space, what I need to do is I need to check whether the previously entered word is present in a dictionary. So I need a mechanism to store a previously searched word. So if you're not entering space, if you're not entering enter, that means we are entering a word. So what I need is I need a variable string. Suppose let it be as I'm bad at naming variables probably. Yeah, so what I'll do is for every character that is not a space or it is not an enter key, we will just append it to a string. Simple as that. So a string will basically have those words in it, right? Once we encounter a space, what we'll need to do is we'll need to reset our string to S. So what we are doing is once we have a space, the previously entered word we should basically dump it off and make space for a new word. But before we dump it, we will actually need to check whether that word is present in our try, in our dictionary. So what I'll do is I'll just use search word, right? And I'll be searching the word S that I have with me. And what I need to do is, right, if the word is present, I'll just output the word as is. So search word returns a bool value whether or not the word is present. If the word is present, I'll output the word as is. But if the word is not present, I need to underline the word. So right now I'm just printing it as is, but you know that I need to underline the word, right? And then we need to, yeah, so one more thing. So we are outputting the word, but we also need to output the additional space that we have. So for that, we will just output C. So C is nothing but the space that we have. We actually need to do a similar thing over here. We don't need to actually output /n. But for enter key as well, before enter key, there is a word that we have inserted. So we need to search that word as well. If it is present, output it as is. But if it is not present, underline it and then output it. It doesn't matter if we actually reset a string S over here or not, because they're actually exiting our code. So yeah, for sake, I'll just put a new line over here. So I guess this should work, but there is one minor implementation that we are missing is how do we actually underline the word? How do we underline the string S that we are printing? So for that, I do have a quick, yeah, so it's here. So this is how you can underline or color words on the Linux terminal. So there are some keys for it. So 4 is for underline, 0 is for reset, and then you can use /033. So 33 foreground and background colors. So you can go through it. So this is nothing but an escapes character. So what I'll do is I'll quickly copy this. I'll go into the present mode here again. And then I'll move back to my spell checker. So I'll be defining some constants over here. So hash define, I'll do underline on. On is for 4. So 4 code was for actually underlining something. And I will also need to set an off parameter to reset what we have. And this is nothing but an offsetting value. So you can actually go through Wikipedia as well and search about what this is. You can just Google it, you will find out. So there's nothing much over here. There are these predefined codes that you need to use. So what I'll do is I'll just use underline on. And underline off. Simple. And I'll just quickly copy this instead of typing it again. Perfect. So if the word is present, print it as is. If the word is not present, print it with underlining it as well. So with that, with this simple loop, we have actually coded our spell checker application. And as you can see, this is a simple, I don't know how many lines of code, 22 and 36, probably 14, 15 lines of code. This is the only thing that you need, not even that, 34. So hardly 12 lines of code. You can even compress it if you want more. So yeah, only with 12 lines of code, you can actually code 12 to 13 lines of code. You can actually code an entire spell checker application, because the most important aspect of it is nothing but the trie data structure. So you can imagine how important a data structure is and how important it is for storing the data in your application in the right format. So if the data was stored in probably, if these words were stored in a linked list format or if any other format, then this code that we have written, this how many lines? Whatever, 12 lines of code that we have written would have actually been a lot more. So there would have been a lot of ifs, and there would have probably been some recursions and some for loops if you would have stored it in the form of a list. So for list, basically you would have to traverse the entire list to check whether the word is present or not and stuff like that. But the code would have been definitely bigger. So that is how important a data structure is. But just to check whether this is working or not, I'll quickly compile the code. And I'll run the code over here. Yeah, so let me just insert a few words. So what I'll do is I will insert cat. I'll insert wall because we already know that these two words are present. I'll insert bark, which is not present. And then I might insert probably bat, which is present, right? So the output should be cat should be printed as is, ball should be printed as is, and bark should be printed with an underline, and bat should be printed as is. So I hope that works, fingers crossed. Perfect. So as you see, bark has been printed with an underline, and that says that bark is not present in a dictionary. Probably you might think that this is a very simple application or something like that. Yes. But this is exactly how you would do this is exactly how a messenger or any messenger basically tries to find wrong words, wrongly spelled words in your in the message that you type. So if you want this to continue, I will quickly edit that as well. So I don't want to exit at enter. So even if the person has entered a /n, I want to continue. I don't want to, I want to print a /n as well, and I want to still continue. I don't want to exit my loop, right? Let's just quickly try that as well. Okay. Oh, sorry, it should be if, right? The spell checker. So cat ball is present, so it gets print as it is, but bark is not present. Shivani is not present, so it is actually printing. It is underlining the word because our application does not have that word. So I'll just exit this and I'll tell you where exactly you can use it in your application. So probably you're creating your own chat box or a chat application wherein you don't want users to use their words. You don't want users to use the words in an actual English dictionary, but you want your predefined words. So even if uh, BA does not have a meaning in the actual English dictionary, you can actually assign it a meaning in your in the dictionary that you create as a part of your application, and you restrict your users to actually use only those words. That's just one fun project that you can make out of it. So with that, I have completed coding my spell checker application. Let me just go to the presentation, but I'll escape it and I already have this code. I committed it like 4 days back. I created this repo and I actually tried this. And if you want the code for you want the code that I've just implemented, you can just go to github.com, Junavne Shivani, try. This link actually has all the things. So there is a simple tries example.cpp file, which actually just checks whether all the functions are working correctly. And there is a spell checker file, which is nothing but similar to what we have just created. So if you want, you can fork this, make changes to it and create PRs. I'm good with that. You can raise PRs to this repo. So yeah, with that, I've actually completed coding the spell checker application, but I'll also give you a few more examples. So this is not the only application where a try can be used, right? So I'll present my screen again. Yeah, so we just saw the spell checker application. And we also coded it. So now I'll go to a more applications. So suggestions. So when you look at Google search, so if I type how to be, I get a lot of suggestions, right? How to be happy, how to be confident, how to be single. That's weird, but how to be positive, how to be rich, and stuff like that. So you can imagine now how this can be stored in a try. So this how will be a different node, two will be a different node, B will be a different node, and then a B node will have multiple children. Happy will be one children, confident will be another children, single will be another children. So basically, you can modify or try to store words itself in every node instead of storing characters. So that is how this can be implemented. Another application that you actually use in a day-to-day life is auto completion. So when you do CD, DOC and you enter tab, automatically documents the Linux terminal completes it. Why does it complete it? Because it knows that in the current directory there is only one way of completing documents, one way of completing that word, and that is documents. You don't have any other word or any other folder in the current directory, and the entire directory structure in your current directory can be stored as a try to implement this. So that is another example where try can be used. One famous example that so all the examples that I'm showing is you actually have been using it every day in your life. You have been using terminal, auto completion in terminal. You have been using Google search. You have been trying to type a previously used URL as well. So what this application is basically in the network browser history. If you want to visit a previously typed URL, what you do is you just type few words from that URL, and then your browser can actually suggest you to the URL that you want to visit. So this can be also implemented using a try. So basically, it knows that this is a URL that you have previously visited, and it has stored internally as a try. So this is another example of try, and with that, I'm also doing a little bit of branding of myself. So this is my portfolio. If you want to visit it sometime, I might have it open. But then, yeah, so I might have it open. So this is I created just a kind of portfolio for myself. You can visit it at ZunoneShivani@github.io if you want to. Coming back to the presentation, so I guess this was the last application that I wanted to show you. And now I'll be open to any questions if any of you have any.
Yes, students, participants can type your question in chat window.
Yes, there are.
No, these are not. This is the attendee list.
Yeah.
Yes, anyone is having any doubt or any question, type it immediately in your chat window.
So it does not necessarily have to be a question related to try data structure as such, because I have explained try. But if you have any questions on data structure specifically, you're free to ask them as well.
One question is there.
Yeah, so question by Rutuja Ravitkar is that what skills do we need to become a DevOps developer? So it basically, for DevOps, I had no idea about DevOps until and unless I actually started working as a software developer in Persistence. So DevOps is nothing but, how do I explain it? You are actually porting your dependencies of your application with your application software itself. So suppose if you are writing a Python code, right? So for writing a Python code, you need few packages. You need NumPy, you need probably Matplotlib and all of those packages. But for all of those packages, if you just give your python.py file to another person, and if another version of that NumPy or Matplotlib is installed in his system, there may be conflicts. The code will not run as expected over there. There are chances that the code might not run. So that is where DevOps come into picture. And DevOps is nothing but Dockerization of your system. So the most important concept in DevOps that you need to know is what is Docker and how do you create Docker images, how do you create Docker containers, and there are various other tools. So that is there are various other tools for CI/CD, that is continuous integration and continuous deployment. And by that you mean that the build and test and deploy the production deployment stage should be flawless, shouldn't have a lot of time intervals between each of those phases. There should be an overlap and things should get fast. So as soon as I push my code to GitHub or any repository that I have set up, a new release, there should be some automation to build it automatically, test it automatically, and also deploy it to the production server automatically. So that is DevOps. But to start with, I'll just tell you, learn what Docker is, learn exactly how you containerize applications, what is the difference between Docker and an actual virtual machine, and and then there are other tools like Travis, Jenkins, and there are various tools you can use, but the most important concept is knowing what Docker is. So I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, any more questions?
Yeah, so Sneha has a question, how do I develop my coding skills? So for developing your coding skills, the only way is practice, practice, practice. Nothing else. You need to actually implement codes. So Kapil sir might remember, I actually used to ask him for questions other than the ones that were given in our assignment. So we had a data structures lab, and there were 7-8 assignments that we had to do as a part of the curriculum. But I actually asked him more questions so that I could solve on my own. So even if you don't ask him, there are various other sites. There is HackerRank, there is Codeship. So just go over there. Try to solve as many questions as you can. Start from easy level questions. There is also another site called as LeetCode. So go over there. Organize the questions in ascending order of complexity. Try and solve easy problems. It's okay if you're not able to solve the problems at the start. It's okay if you solve only one problem in an entire week, but make sure you don't look at the code somewhere else. You at least spend a couple of days on the problem statement, trying to develop that analytical skills yourself, trying to develop the solution yourself. It's very easy to Google for a problem statement. You will get thousands of solutions for a particular problem statement. But what is important is you actually develop those skills and not Google the answers. We have a habit of directly Googling any question that we have and trying to get a code snippet from that. It's good. It's good for Googling a syntactical error that you have, but it's not good to actually Google the logic of the algorithm or the logic of the code that you're trying to implement. So make sure you practice the logical aspect of it. The logic, you increase your analytical skills.
Okay,
So
I think there are no more questions. So your session was really nice. So students understood it completely. So they are not having any questions. Okay.
I hope so.
Thank you, Shivani. You took the very nice session on the application of the data structure, that is TriTree. So on behalf of PCC Wing, I express thanks that you have taken the good session, and also I will extend my thanks to our PCT management, our principal, Dr. Sopre sir, our HOD, Dr. K. Rajeshwari ma'am, for their continuous supports, and they have given the opportunity to arrange such webinars for the students in this quarantine period. Also, thanks to my colleague Shailaja ma'am, and also I would like to take the names of my students who are continuously behind this preparation, Yash and Parth, who are going to prepare the certificates and who are going to distribute it. So participants will get the feedback form link. After filling the feedback form, within 2-3 days, you will get the e-certificates on your register mail ID. Okay, thank you all.